You sure on that there? Let's see what. All right, it's 10 o'clock, so we are going to get started with our administrative meeting. I want to thank everybody for being here today. We have a short but eventful admin agenda to talk about today, and I do have a few announcements to make. I know, first of all, we're all here except for Commissioner Herring. He is on a small business development project, and we commend him for that. He is unloading 19 pallets of fireworks on the south side of the county for a new business that he is opening himself, him and a business partner. So it's kind of crunch time for him, and he cannot be here today, but he will be here on Monday. So I told him, you have fun with that. It has been an eventful week in terms of the weather, and we're going to get an update from our deputy EMA director here in just a few minutes. We had some roads that got washed out yesterday, and Barkley may talk about that. And the weather is not over, and hopefully, but hopefully we'll have a nice weekend. So we'll see. Today, excuse me, we will have a work session from 1 until hopefully not 6 p.m., but we're scheduled for 1 to 6 p.m. to talk about the budget. This is the first budget meeting that we're going to have. We still got a lot of work to do, and then we'll subsequently have another work session later on to finalize the budget. So that's going on from 1 to 6. So if you have nothing else better to do and you want to see paint dry, you can come up to the 6th floor of this building and participate in that. Also want to commend Clay Dempsey for the Kevin Hart event. I know I've been hearing and seeing posts on Facebook and other social medias about how successful that event was, and I know a lot of people are excited to have those types of events. I could not attend myself. I was out of town, but sounds like I should have canceled my out of town trip and went to that instead. Clay is doing a great job, and he is actually the nephew of our former Chief Administrative Officer, Bill Dempsey. So big shout out to Clay. We have a lot of 4th of July celebrations coming up pretty soon. So Rehoboth Red, White, and Boom, that's going to be on June 30th. That's a Friday. I'm going to try to be there with my family this year, and also going to try to be at fireworks at the fairground. And that's on Saturday, July the 1st. And also the town of Webb is doing their 4th of July celebration on Saturday, July the 1st as well. Don't have times for those. I think Rehoboth starts at 5, but obviously the fireworks won't start until dark. So, and then I sent an email out this week, but the public may be interested in knowing this too. The fence that we have kind of over here is making everybody kind of walk all the way around the building, and it's a lot of steps, I know. So talked to Tommy. We had to put that up because there was some equipment over there, and we don't need people kind of walking under those booms. I don't know if that's the right term for that, but we don't need people walking under that while work is going on. So we also had a safety auditor coming down, so we need to shore that up. So we put that fence up, but in talking with Tommy, what he has said is that they're going to try to adjust that fence and create a walkway for employees and citizens, so they don't have to walk all the way around the building when we have to park over here in this overflow parking lot. So that should be done this week, and it'll make entry into the building a little bit more convenient. So thanks to him for that. Any other announcements?
I'd like to take a moment to recognize Cottonwood and their new athletic building that they've done. I was able to see it when it was being built, but they finished it a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to Cottonwood and what they're doing for their programs down there. Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I'd like to make one, myself and fellow Commissioner Adams. We have been able to complete our 50 hours of training that is required, being new commissioners within our 6 months of being elected as new county commissioners. That's why we were not here on June 8th and 9th. That was our last portion of our training to get our 50 hours in. So applaud him and myself for being able to complete our 50 hours of training within our first 6 months of being in office.
Yes, certainly. Congratulations on that. No, you are glad to have that behind you.
He's
Yeah.
honor graduate. That's the reason you brought it up.
What's that?
He's honor graduate.
Made the A honor roll.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he was
Good.
honored to finish it.
Good.
Mm.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. All right, so we'll move on to the agenda that we have proposed. So the first item on for consideration is to request to appoint Mike to the Southeast Alabama Community Action Partnership. This is I think we make one appointment to that board. The person we had, which was Mr. Deal, has had to resign for some family related health issues. And so Mike too has graciously agreed to serve as that appointment. So unless y'all have somebody else, one of y'all wants to volunteer, the proposal is to appoint Mike too for that board position. Any questions? Any objection with that item going on the agenda?
No objection.
No judge.
All right. Item number 2 is a request to accept the resignation of Chris Judah as EMA director. I know this happened just before the last meeting, and we didn't have time to really put it on the agenda. But the attorney says we need to formally request that resignation. Any discussion on this item? Any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
No judge.
Item number 3 is a request to approve resolution to adopt the 2021 Southeast Alabama Regional Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. I'm going to ask our Deputy EMA Director to come up and tell us why we're talking about this in 2023. And you're going to need to press that little where it says touchpad. Yep, got it.
The reason that we have not yet adopted this is we started working on these packets and put them out in June of 22. We received the plan December to March from Southeast Alabama Regional Planning Commission. That's who puts together this division-wide plan, so it's not just Houston County.
Yeah, just touch it and then let go. Perfect.
Okay, it's not just Houston County, it's actually all the counties in Division B for state EMA. Because we all have similar hazards and don't need to have individual plans. This plan was developed with a grant. So we had a hazard mitigation planning grant that paid for the development. Each municipality, each county, each individual group or category that is included in the plan would have to adopt it. The reason we do this is because all of our hazard mitigation funds are tied to the adoption of this plan. After major disasters, the state or FEMA will allow hazard mitigation grants. So we don't have the same disasters, and so we mitigate those before they happen again. This is where we've received upwards of $30 to $40 million in the past over time with culverts and roads being redone, generators for the county shop. All of those projects are tied to pre-identified projects in the plan. That's the reason we're doing this. Somehow it slipped through the cracks. I was out for 6-7 months and did not know the status of it until recently. So
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to catch up and make sure that the state and FEMA has everything they need so we could be awarded grant fund money.
Gotcha. All right. And we, don't go anywhere. Any questions or discussion on this item? Not any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
All right. Also want to thank you I know you've had to step up quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. Thank you for the great job that you and the entire EMA staff is doing. Greatly appreciated. So I'll say that, but also while you're here, if you don't mind, just kind of letting us know about what's going on with the weather and what the outlook is.
Okay, based on the last information that I've received from the National Weather Service today in Tallahassee, we are still under a flash flood watch for our area until tomorrow. at 7 PM. We're expecting to see another round of severe possible. Definitely a lot of rain. Starting after 1 PM today, we're at a 50 to 72% chance of severe again. And the threats remaining the same right now is the inland flooding. That's the biggest threat right now is we've had so much rain, the ground's saturated, and so it's the flooding aspect.
Yeah, it's not gonna go in the ground, it's gonna go somewhere else.
It's gonna be isolated, and scattered.
Yeah.
So I can't say a specific area or region, but, all of Houston County remains under that flash flood watch.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we will continue to put it out on all of our social media and apps and through all the information sources.
Yeah, good. Any questions for the Deputy EMA Director? All right. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 4. We have a request to approve budget amendment for the purchase of radiological equipment as requested by Alabama Department of Public Health utilizing APCO funds. And I really need to remember to bring my glasses next time. But Peter, I'm going to let you take this one away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Apparently, the radiological equipment that we currently have in use is about 15 years old. And there have been some updates to the standards by ADPH as well as FEMA that dictate that we purchase these items so that we stay in compliance.
Gotcha.
This was not in the budget, so I'm asking for a budget amendment for these.
This comes out of the APCO.
APCO
from Alabama
funds, yes,
Council.
of 21 APCO.
Not a general fund.
No, that's correct.
Any questions on this item? Okay. Any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Item number 5 is a request to approve resolution to convey property to local chapter of the American Legion with reversionary interest pending approval of the state of Alabama. All right, so this is going to require a little bit of history and discussion. So it is my understanding this property was conveyed to Houston County, I believe in the 50s, could have been the 40s. This was an old World War II prisoner of war camp. And it was given to the county by ALDOT, by the state through ALDOT in the 50s, I believe. And then in the 70s, now the restriction at the time was it had to be used for public recreation. All right, in the 70s, I want to say maybe 74, that restriction was revised to where it had to be used for a public purpose. So didn't have to be used for recreation. It just had to be used for a public purpose. So we could theoretically build a new sheriff's department out there. We could build we could give it to the city of Dothan. They could build a firehouse if they needed to. So public purpose. In 2017, there was a proposal to gift this property to the United Methodist a better term, a deed restriction that has to be used for a public purpose. We're trying to get them to remove that deed restriction so that we can, do something else with it. So the children's home idea kind of moved on. I know I've been talked to the American Legion probably a couple of years ago now. Became aware that they needed a new headquarters, a new place to call home. They've been kind of hanging out at restaurants for about 20 years, my understanding. So when I come into office in November, this was one of the priorities I had, is try to get this restriction removed so that we could give it to the American Legion. And then I had finally kind of given up that this would ever take place based on what our attorney was telling me, and which that's a long story I won't go into, but we just never got the football moved down field, got it across the finish line, got across the goal line to remove that restriction for a lot of different reasons. So Peter last week gets a response to an email, I think that was sent in 2017 from the state. Hey, do y'all still want to remove this restriction? So that's why this is on the agenda today, because of course we do want to remove that restriction. The proposal is to grant this property to the American Legion with reversionary interest. So what that means is we would give this to the American Legion for the purpose of them building a new headquarters lodge. I don't know what the correct term is. But if that action never took place, it would revert back to the county. Or if they ever wanted to do, the American Legion went out of business or they tried to sell the property, that property will come back to the county that we can grant it to somebody else for a community purpose. So that is what's proposed. I know I probably, be honest with you, probably could have talked about this in a work session. I know we tried to have one a couple weeks ago that we had to cancel, but I guess my thought is we need to strike while the iron is hot. While the state is interested in working with us, we need to try to push this thing down the field. So I know y'all may have some questions, maybe some discussion, but I will open it up to the commission, and Lehman, invite you to come forward too and make any comments. But first, does the commission have any questions or comments?
Where's the property at?
That's a good question. The property is at the intersection of Redmond and Flynn Road. So, what's the name of that facility near there? It's Von Bloomberg. Yes, I always have problems remembering that name, but it's essentially across Redmond Road from Von Bloomberg.
How much land is it?
5.24 acres. Now,
Okay.
a lot of that is
Wooded.
low.
Yeah.
I got you. That's fine.
Any other questions? Mr. Irby, I'd invite you to come forward and make any comments. Just touch where it says touchpad. Yep, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Shoup and Commissioners for allowing me to come speak with you today. American Legion Post 12 chartered in Dothan actually in 1926. We've been around Dothan for a long time. We did have a building that we leased for a year over in Taylor, but our membership decided leasing something was not financially viable for us, that we should be throwing our money in something that we're gonna own. So we moved out of that building, and we've been searching. I've been commander of American Legion of Post 12 for 11 years, and my predecessor was searching for a home before I came there, and we've been searching ever since. The buildings that we can find around Dothan, we either just can't afford them, or we're not in good enough shape for us to do anything with. We could afford the building, we just couldn't afford to fix it up where we could inhabit it. So we've just kind of been coasting. We used to meet in this room. Then we moved to the VFW, and right now we're meeting out at Smoky Joe's Barbecue out on Taylor, on Brandon Stand Road. But anyway, there's things that we want to do. We can't have fundraisers at Smoky Joe's. Therefore, we can't raise enough money to buy a building somewhere. We have to have a building in order to raise money, and we have to have money in order to have a building. We're kind of in a catch-22 situation.
Yeah.
This property would be a godsend for us. And I've already been working this morning on the phone, getting some quotes on the portable buildings, not necessarily favorite, but portable buildings. We do have a good enough credit rating, we can go borrow money to have a metal building put up out there. We just need a place that we can call home, that we can better serve the veterans that we do serve, and we can better serve our community. Now, we already are involved in serving our community. We do have a Adopt a Mile program. We're part of that. We're picking up trash on Brandon Stand Road. And we have a junior shooter program at Rehoboth High School. ROTC is our junior shooter team, and they are actually our state champions this year. We did have a baseball team until Coach Bradford retired. We send at least 2 or 3. This year we sent 3 boys to Boys State, which is a big program. They used to go to University of Alabama, now they go up to Troy for a week, and they are taught the legislative process at the state level. or that week, they elect a governor or lieutenant governor, they elect all kinds of offices, and they actually run the organization for a week. They're taught that legislative process. The American Legion Auxiliary does Girl State, which is the same thing for girls. We don't have an auxiliary at our post, but we will send a girl. We will sponsor a girl. One company needs to be sponsored. So, like I said, we just want to have a better place to call home so that we can better serve both our veterans and our community.
Well,
This should be property great for us.
we greatly appreciate, what y'all do and look forward to, pending the commission's decision on Monday, forward to y'all being a more active and visible, part of the community. Now it will be a challenge. Raising money to build is a challenge. So, but I know y'all will step up and do what you got to do to make that happen.
We have some members who are ready.
Good.
And as a veteran myself, I appreciate what you do. Appreciate what you're trying to do.
Appreciate that.
And it would be a great honor to support it. So
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, any objection to this item going on the agenda?
no objection.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Irving. All right, item number 6 is a request to approve entering into a memorandum of understanding between Houston County and the city of Dothan to facilitate the construction of a new city hall and enhance parking and safety near the courthouse. So this has been, in the works, so to speak, for some time. And I had Peter and Roden Bridge printed out a little map that shows kind of what the rough plan is. Now, this is not what you're seeing on the map there is not, it's not going to show you where the city hall is going to be built. It's not going to show you what the city hall is going to look like. It doesn't show, where the city hall employees will park, that they'll park at a location that's not necessarily labeled on that map, at least in the current proposal. But all that map does is show how it will affect parking at the courthouse. And I know that has been the biggest concern that this commission has had to wrestle with as we have, negotiated with the city of Dothan over their future home. I think, we're at a spot where we are very excited. Obviously, this was slow going, and I know it looks a lot of times like, these things kind of happen quick, but I promise you, we've been working at this for a long time, and this was not easy to get to. This took a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, to get here. But there will be some lost parking for the courthouse at the corner of Oates and Main, but that will be replaced. In my opinion, it will be moved to a safer, better location at the intersection. I believe it's Troy and Oak Street. Now, in the MOU that we have before us, the city of Dothan is required to provide 30 more public parking spots for the courthouse, for that area. And when I say public parking spots, I mean unencumbered, so not encumbered by 30-minute parking limit, 30-minute time limit, or city manager parking only. This is truly public parking spots for the courthouse and the surrounding area. So I think that's something that we can live with. Now, I know that there will probably still be some people that will complain about it, and that's fine. There'll probably still be some people that'll say, we need a whole lot more parking spots than 30, and that's fine too. I could tell you, a lot of people want us or want the city of Dothan primarily to solve parking in downtown Dothan. Well, I'm here to tell you, in any vibrant downtown community, you will never solve parking. All you can do is manage the problem. You will never actually solve it. Now, I had a business that used to be downtown on Foster Street, and I was there when Dothan did solve downtown parking. If you can believe this, it was 2008, 2009. And they solved it, or it was solved at the time because downtown Dothan had absolutely nothing going on. There was no restaurants downtown. There was no business downtown. And if you go to any downtown area that has solved parking, it is because there is no vibrant downtown community. So as long as downtown Dothan is growing, as long as it is vibrant, you'll probably not get a parking spot right outside the front door of where you want to go. That's just the way downtowns work. So, but according to this proposal, the city of Dothan obviously is going to pay us money for the dirt. And they're going to construct the parking at their expense. They're going to enhance security for the courthouse at their expense. They're going to assist us with parking behind the courthouse, again, at their expense. And they're going to enhance the pedestrian crosswalks, again, at their expense. So I think this is a great deal for the county. I think this is a great deal for the county taxpayers. I think this is a great example of how Houston County and the city of Dothan have worked together to come up with a solution that solves the needs of our citizens, of our mutual citizens in many respects. And I want to commend this commission for not giving up and for working hard and putting in the hard work that is required to kind of get us to this point, at least to where we can consider it for discussion on Monday. And I know there may be some other Okay, all quiet on the western front then.
Yeah.
Any comments? Yeah, that's correct. Thank you for pointing that out. This is a memorandum of understanding, so this is not a formal agreement. This will be a, thank you again for reminding me of that. This is going to be a multi-step process. So basically, there's been a lot of conversation. And so where we are now is we're putting that conversation on a piece of paper and say, yes, we're mutually agreeing to this understanding. Now the lawyers will get involved pretty quickly, and they will put all the legalese required to turn this essentially into a legally binding agreement. So no money is changing hands today. No money is changing hands tomorrow. We will have to vote on a legally binding agreement before that actually takes place. So just to be clear for the commission and also for the public. Anything else I miss? All right. Any questions or comments?
No.
Any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
All right. Item number 7 is a request to sell miscellaneous items on Gov Deals from county maintenance, revenue, sheriff, and road and bridge. You can see the attached list there. It's nothing too exciting. Any objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
All right. Mr. County Engineer, I know just wanted to, before we adjourn, open up the floor to you and see if you had any comments from the storms yesterday and kind of what the prognosis is for Suggs Road and that sort of thing.
Oh, we had, some limbs and stuff down here and there, and we had one dirt road blow out, but the rain was really concentrated right there around 431 and Headland Avenue there, Buds and Blossoms, and over to Suggs Road. The reports we had it's like 6.5 inches of rain fell in less than an hour, which is greater than a 100-year storm event. So nothing is designed for that. We had 2 bridges go underwater on Headland Avenue. Water came up fast. It went back down fast. I think Buzz and Blossom lost an entrance, but as far, we didn't really have any damage to any county roads or anything other than the dirt roads. So,
yeah. How long do you think that road will be closed? I know it depends on the weather.
We got to see if we can have the pipe. I mean, I don't,
Gotcha.
that's a little premature in that.
Gotcha.
If we have a pipe on the yard and it dries out, I mean, it's wet right now. So
Gotcha.
2 weeks, maybe 3.
Uh-huh.
If we don't have the pipe and have to order it, it may be longer.
Yeah. I know sometimes it takes a while to get that pipe in these days.
Yeah.
All right. Any other items for consideration on Monday's agenda? All right. That being said, we are adjourned until Monday. Thank you.